Hello and welcome to Play for the Dragon, Wales sports music, not always in that order. I think we've had about 2 weeks off from a
Aye.
podcast, maybe 3 weeks, so it's good to be back. How are you, Sam?
Very well, mate. It feels like forever since we did this last time, doesn't it?
As, I think it was just me and Lewis last time as well.
Aye, of course, yeah, I went to that.
Were you travelling? Were you at a festival, were you?
I went to Fezzi the night before, and it didn't finish until like 4 a.m. I didn't have that much to drink or anything, but I got back home at like 5:30 in the morning. I was just like, I woke up, I set an alarm, and I was like, I can't do this, you know? so I dropped out. That was my get out of jail card because that's the only one I've missed so far. So that was everybody gets one. That was my one.
We'll give you that one, mate. I mean, you've told me about the Spanish. I know you went that hungover, but you've told me about that Spanish cider before the 8% stuff. And probably if I had 2-3 shots of that, I wouldn't be in a fit state to do anything the next day. So, but yeah, we've had an entire international window since the last time we did one of these. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We've got a lot of club football to get through as well. South Wales derby, a lot going on with Wrexham, and a lot changing Newport as well. With I don't know if I think Michael Flynn had just left when me and Lewis recorded last time, and I think it was Craig Hatswell did a couple of games, and Mason Jones as well. Sorry, I was staring right at the chat, couldn't remember them. Yeah, Mason Jones got a late replacement for his fight on Saturday. That's a prime time card as well. I forgot to tell you before we started recording. So prime time for the UK, so it should start about 7 p.m. for you and 6 p.m. for us.
So
I think he's won the first fights up, so tune in nice and early for that one. I think it'll be on BT Sport in the UK, so that's fun for you guys. Yeah, bit more somber news to start the podcast off because a couple of days ago, I think it was, we heard the news that David Brooks was diagnosed with, I think it was Hodgkin's lymphoma.
So, yeah,
I'm not sure what type of cancer that is, but absolutely awful news considering everything. And a couple of days after, one of the Wales under 21 players and I think he's second choice goalkeeper for Norwich, is he Dan Barden?
I think he's out on loan at the moment. In fact,
is he on loan at the minute?
I'm not sure, but yeah, he's a Norwich player.
He was also diagnosed with cancer. I think it was testicular cancer, that one. You know, it's just such a shame for it to happen to anyone, but two professional athletes in the primes, well, not in the primes of their career because they're quite young, but sort of peak of physical fitness.
Well, that's what makes it
young lads representing Wales as well. It's just such weird news, and can't imagine what they're going through right now. And
yes, it's well, you know, love to them both and everything. Hope they are okay. It's very sad news and everything. But I think Di Brooks was saying how he was very lucky he was with the Wales camp at the time because they noticed it really early, sent him off to go get checked and everything. And it turned out to be, bad news, but good news in a way because they found it so early. So, the diagnosis is very promising and stuff. But yeah, it's a massive shame for them both. I'm sure, it'll be a massive, I'm sure they'll both bounce back for it relatively soon and everything. They're both, great lads. I feel bad because when David Brooks dropped out of the Wales squad, I was like, oh, again, So I feel bad now because I didn't expect that. But
I felt pretty guilty as well. I did have similar thoughts because he missed the camp before as well. But like I said before, they're two young lads in tip-top condition, being professional athletes. They're around sort of medical teams all the time, being footballers. So you got to think they'll get the best treatment available to them, and so long as they can get back to a state of being better, you just hope from then on they get back to the position of being able to resume their careers. And we all wish them the best, and a lot of the messages, as always, coming out from the different sides have been really nice. You were saying before, Stoke did a nice tribute, and I think Bournemouth were away to Sheffield United as well. Of course, Brooks used to play for them, so they did a nice tribute there. I think they bought a number 7 shirt out when they scored Bournemouth.
Yeah, it's impressive, isn't it? Because he is a really young lad, David Brooks, and he's had his problems with injuries and stuff, so he hasn't played maybe as much as he could have in the past. But it hasn't hampered at all people's reaction to him. He's got a lot of people behind him and a lot of people supporting him. So Dan Bardin is an up-and-coming goalkeeper, isn't he? And God knows there's not a lot of Welsh goalkeepers playing a lot of football at the moment. So it's a shame. He's got, I think, 2 caps for the under-21s. But like I say, best of luck to them and everything. And I'm sure they'll bounce back soon.
Right. So you came up with a nice idea to kick off the show. Before we started, do you want to bring our little trivia question out since it was your creation?
Well, I didn't have any trivia questions, so I thought instead of doing like a sort of quiz question, we'll do a sort of like, I don't know, a debate question instead. And I thought, well, we've had in the past 2 round of international fixtures, we've had one with Gareth Bale and no Ramsey, and one with Ramsey and no Gareth Bale. So I thought if we could have 11 of Ramseys or 11 of Bales, which would you prefer to have? Would you prefer to have a team made up entirely of Aaron Ramseys? That means Aaron Ramsey in goal, Aaron Ramsey at front, Aaron Ramsey at left and right back, or Gareth Bale in those positions. What do you reckon?
That's such a tricky question, I have to say. It's hard for me not to let my heart run my head being an Arsenal fan and everything. I'm missing Ramsey so much and thinking how much he could improve our side right now, even with him maybe playing 20 games a season. I'd say for me, thinking about it though, and I have had a little bit of time to think about it now, I'd probably always have to pick Bale, just for the fact, he's played in sort of different positions throughout his career, moving further forward as he's got older.
That's a good point. I forgot he's left back.
He's good in the air as well. He scores a fair few headers. He could be quite a tidy centre back when he slows down. I think we've mentioned that once or twice when we've had a little bit of a chinwag of what he's going to do.
My argument in favour of 11 Ramseys was that maybe Ramsey would be a bit better defensively because Gareth Bale nowadays doesn't track back as much as he used to do and everything. But that's a good point. He literally started off as a defender, so that kind of shits on my point a bit. I don't know. For me, I think Gareth Bale brings maybe more leadership qualities, you could say, possibly. He's obviously maybe, I don't know. You know what? Nowadays, I don't even know who's better in front of goal anymore. Because Aaron Ramsey, some of the goals he scored for us in the Euros, the goal he scored for us against Czech Republic, which we'll talk about a bit later and everything, he's got a tidy finish on him in it, But so it's tough, isn't it? So I think maybe you're right. Maybe Gareth Bale gets a tip of the hat for having played in defence in the past. Well, I don't know. What about in goal?
Who do you think makes? I was going to say, who do you think makes a better goalkeeper though? I don't know.
Gareth Bale a bit taller.
A bit taller, yeah.
Yeah. Who's got the wider wingspan? I don't know. Gareth Bale's got those ridiculous thighs as well, so maybe he could dive a bit further than Ramsey. I don't know. I think maybe as an all-round player, I think Ramsey's a more all-round player. Gareth Bale, especially now as he's getting older and everything, he's more of like pops up when you need him to, rather than runs 100 miles every game. So I think Ramsey's got a better engine. They're both so delicate. That's so it doesn't go in anybody's favour. But I for me, I'm going to go with a team of Ramseys because I think the work rate that Ramsey could put in would just tip a little bit over Gareth Bale. Gareth Bale give you good 3 or 4 sprints, but then tire out maybe or something. So I'm going to go with that 11 Aaron Ramseys.
Thinking about it more, that seems like quite a safe shout. Actually, I've just been considering Gareth Bale playing as a centre back. And I do feel like he'd be one of those centre halves instead of sort of hoofing it away, try and sort of Cruyff turn his way out of trouble and maybe get picked off and not quite have it to get back and clear. I don't know. I know he does sort of always seem to come in right place at the right time, make covering tackles and that when he needs to. But like you said, not so much tracking back anymore. But I think that's with him being sort of maybe more as a sort of right forward type player for Wales and being that much further forward, he sort of isn't really, we have him as more of a luxury player on our side now, I think, when we do him, so we don't really want him tracking back, do we? Yeah, I don't know. I think you might, I think Ramsey's work rate, he's always been solid defensively, I think. He played sort of a lot of, when we had sort of Ozil, play a bit more as a sort of box-to-box sort of central midfielder instead of like a 10 as he does for Wales. So he's always been sort of good at putting his foot in and that. And I soft spot for him. Miss him. Want him back. Come on, Juve.
I think the problem we'd have with both of them is the fact that if we had 11 of them, we'd end up not having enough players to field. Do you still get? Is it a 3-0 forfeit if you don't have enough players to put out?
I think it's 3-0 forfeit, and same if you get, is it 5 players sent off?
Same as well, yeah.
Of 7.
Has Gareth Bale ever been sent off in his career?
Yeah, probably.
I'm going to
Probably
Google
playing for Spurs or Real. I don't know if he's been sent off for Wales.
And Aaron Ramsey, can you remember Aaron Ramsey ever getting sent off?
No, I don't really. I don't know. Don't think so. Probably for Arsenal, maybe in his younger days. I don't really.
Gareth Bale has been sent off. He got a red card against. He got 2 yellows against Villarreal about 10 years ago, apparently.
Yeah.
Aaron Ramsey, I don't know about Aaron Ramsey. You ever get sent off for Arsenal?
Not as I immediately remember.
Yeah.
Picked up yellow cards here and there.
He got sent off against Besiktas in 2014.
Champions League.
I guess so.
Another depressing night in Turkey.
That's why he went mad against Turkey, innit? For that red card, like 6 years ago or 7 years ago, getting one back over the Turks for it. Yeah.
If it was away, he probably got a lot of grief walking down the tunnel. I mean, the Turkish fans do like talking a big game, and some of the crowds do look quite intimidating when you see the pictures of like Besiktas and Fenerbahce.
I reckon it'd be a brilliant experience to go to one of those games.
Oh yeah. Same as seeing a game in South America. I know it's crazy with the flares and that, and some everyone jumping about and shouting, but it would be sort of electric atmosphere to be. Not really that much different from like a festival crowd when you think about it.
Elena, my girlfriend, she went to a match in Brazil because she's got family in Brazil. She went to, I think, was it Corinthians? Cruzeiro. She went to a game in Cruzeiro, which is in Sao Paulo. No, Belo Horizonte. So I don't know. She enjoyed it, and she hates football. So, so there you go. Maybe one to do. If she enjoyed it, then I think we'd love it. Anyway, should we get on to the Wales games, boy?
Yeah, nice little segue from away days because we had 2 away games in a row, and couldn't afford to get to either of them, which is sad. But it was the first time the Red Wall had been allowed into away games for God knows however many months in pretty full capacity.
I'm still waiting for my first away day. I'm desperate for one because it's a possibility now if we don't come second in the group, so we get the away leg in the playoff, then we get Spain, and I'd be like, I'd be well up for that. What a great away day that would be as well. Wales, Spain. I guess it would be in Madrid, I imagine, or I don't know. They were doing the Euros games in Seville, so maybe it'd be that. I don't know. Imagine it was in Pontevedra. That'd be ace.
Which one would be closer for you to get to? Because I think you said it was
Madrid.
Madrid. Or an 8-hour train journey to Madrid.
Yeah, it's like 8 hours on the train, I think, to Madrid. But Seville is even further, I think. God, but I don't know. Either way, I'd be well up for that. So, maybe it's not the end of the world if we don't finish second, because I'll get my first away day out of it, which would technically be. Would it be a home day for me? Because I don't know. Whatever. Either way, yeah. So Czech Republic in Prague. I saw some of the videos of the lads out and everything in Prague as well, and it looks like what a great away day. What was really good as well, what I saw a lot of them were doing, because it was obviously the international break and everything, and the game was on a Friday. On the Saturday, of course, there were games in the Czech League, so a lot of the lads went out. The Welsh lads went out to games in Prague in the Czech League and everything, which I thought was a brilliant idea. That'd be a really interesting experience, no?
No, it'd be really good. I did think when they announced this group there were some cracking away days on the cards with sort of quite cheap beer prices as well. So,
yeah.
It's a shame we couldn't have gone and get smashed on so €1-2 chat lager, however much it is. But 4 points overall on the road, can't be too disgruntled with that. I'd say in the Czech game as well, I ended up sort of catching the game later on, but from what I saw, it was a really good performance, and I don't know, considering all the circumstances and that, I think we played really well. But if you look at some of the chances we missed, maybe you could see it as more 2 points dropped instead of 1 point gained. But don't really want to be too cocky when you're talking about a really good Czech side nowadays who've sort of played quite well in the Euros. I don't think they really got sort of kick-started in the knockout rounds. But they're a decent side now. They're bloodied us up a bit. Was that in the Estonia game where Keith Moore had this? I know it was.
No, that was in Estonia. That was
Estonia. Sorry, I'm getting confused there. But I think we looked a lot better in the final third than we looked in the last camp. But like I said, I think was it Kiefer Moore had a chance early on. I don't know if Dan James slipped in through a bit too late, but so it could have been 3, could have maybe been 4. I think did Ramsey have another chance early on?
Oh, I can't remember now. But what surprised me so much about the Czech Republic is how open they were. We were slipping through really, really easily. You know, with quite simple balls. You know, just on the counter. I think, in fact, the goal that scored the first goal was from their corner, and we'd run out from there. So I couldn't believe how open they were. You know, when I think of Czech Republic, I think of they've got some big lads at the back and everything. You know, a bit, to bully around. So I couldn't believe how easily we were cutting through them. So it's a shame we couldn't capitalize on it more and everything. But that game, it was a weird game. It absolutely ruined my emotions, man. I was going out for a beer with some friends afterwards, after the game finished. I was like, I don't know if I can. I'm knackered after watching that. It was knackering, the game. It was because I don't know. It started off really cagey. For me, I felt as nervous watching it as I did when in the Switzerland game, in the Euros. I was all over the place. It felt really edgy and really sort of could have gone either way for a lot of it, And we were dead unlucky not to come away with the 3 points, definitely. But conceding as we did straight after that Ramsey goal is not good. Falling asleep defensively when you're at your weakest, having just scored, and then of course the Danny Ward mishap. I don't know how the kerfuffle, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't good, was it? Danny Ward wants to be checked for bloody game fixing after that. It was bad, wasn't it? Did you see that, man?
Yeah, no, I felt quite bad for him. Don't want to lay into the lad too much. It is just one of those things that sometimes happens, and it's not like he's playing regular football for his club. So when that happens, when players come in sort of on a rotational basis, and that they do often end up making mistakes like that, and that has happened to me playing Year 5 school football as a goalkeeper before. So
I do feel his pain. Same pressure.
It feels even worse sort of being in front of your peers at that age doing it as well, because they don't let you live it down for quite a while, and don't let you play golf for quite a while either. So that stumped that idea quite early on.
But I don't know. I felt bad for him, but I thought good on the travelling fans and everything. They were singing his name for the rest of the night, and even it bled into the Estonia game, didn't it? And they were all cheering his name.
Oh yeah.
But he was just sleeping, wasn't he? Some people were blaming it on Ramsey, actually, saying the ball he sent back to him, he fizzed it a bit too hard, maybe, so kind of asking for it. But I think that one's all on Danny Ward for having dropped his guard a little bit, or just not paying as much attention as maybe should have. But you're right, if he's playing week in, week out, that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen most of the time. Danny Ward has been absolutely outstanding, to be honest, since he came in for us. So, okay, everybody gets one. If he does it again, then there'll be cause for concern in it. But it was a shame. I felt so bad for him. I don't. Goalkeepers, when they do that, they tend to just go get the ball and lob it straight up the field. Let's go. It's like, God, I couldn't do that. I'd be lying there. I'd start crying. Maybe piss myself a little. Just, I don't know, wanting the ground to swallow me up. So fair play. You've got to have some mentality on you, haven't you?
Yeah, that'd be the point where I'd be feigning an injury and sort of leaning over to the touchline.
My wrist.
No, it's always a leg injury for me. I don't know why I can never really sell the sort of upper body. I always have to sort of fake a limp off. But yeah, talking about something a bit more positive. You mentioned it before. What a finish that was by Aaron Ramsey. I think he sprinted about 80 yards. He started the attack, didn't he?
He started the attack off, yeah.
Sprinted about 80 yards, got the ball back. The nerves of steel there to take 2 or 3 touches in that position and then slot it in the way he did.
I was screaming, just swat it in! just whaling it one! What are you doing? He proved me wrong, because I was like, it's gone. The chance is gone. But just how the coolest man in the country, I think, in that moment. It was unbelievable to take those touches, because he waits, sees the gap and slots it. I think he does. He takes like 3 touches, I think, 3 or 4 touches. So What do you think about Dan James as well? Is that an assist for Dan James? Do you think he gets something on the header, or is it just straight past him?
We've seen him jump that high against the Czechs before to nut one in, so I think we can give him that maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
grazing a follicle, I think the technical term is, but
he's got like just taking a little inch off his nose or something. Yeah.
But no, considering all the circumstances, like I said, not having Bale, and especially our last two performances where we really struggled to break Estonia down. I know we did sort of score against Belarus, but I think 2 were penalties, weren't they?
Two were penalties, yeah.
One was a late surge, and it was getting to the point where we couldn't hit the barn door unless it was from 12 yards and no one else was near it. But sort of got through them as we did, and did well against the Czechs. Can't be too disappointed with that, I think.
The second goal as well, I thought was great. It was really, it was Harry Wilson who set it up, wasn't he? And the minute he came on, he changed it up so much. He brought so much pace and everything, which is, fair play to Rob Page recently. A big criticism in the past has been that, he doesn't use his subs wisely enough, or he brings them in too late. There's been a couple of games now where he's made changes and they've changed the game completely. Like against, I can't remember. It was against Belarus, wasn't it, when he brought on Johnny Williams, and Johnny Williams just dragged everyone up a level and kept the pace, kept the game alive really with just bringing a bit more pace into the ball really, not running, but I mean just like the pace of phases of play. He dragged us up. Harry Wilson did the same when he came on, and that ball passing it through the channels to find Dan James, excellent. We have said already that the Czechs were surprisingly open and quite easy to cut through and everything, but Harry Wilson just looked outstanding the minute he came on, and I thought massive performance of Harry Wilson. This is the moment. Now he's going to solidify his role. He's going to get himself in the starting lineup and that, because he was playing a bit deeper as well. Because usually if we play Harry Wilson, it's either as a false 9 or I don't know, maybe a bit higher up the pitch. But in this, when he came on, he was definitely sitting a bit deeper in a more creative sort of number 8 role, and I thought he played outstanding. But then again, he came to the Estonia game and he was bloody silent throughout the whole. So typical. But there you go. But it was a great goal. Dan James as well. What a finish! What do you think? It's exciting for me the fact he's going to be working under Marcelo Bielsa now, because
I was looking forward to seeing how it develops, because I think us Dave, who I train with, one of the lads from Jiu-Jitsu, he's a Leeds fan. And he was saying, I think it's every Wednesday they do the murder ball sessions. So I think they made a few memes. The Square Ball podcast did of Rodrigo after his first murder ball session when they were filming the documentary. So I'd love to have been a fly on the wall to see how James did in that. But he's a bit of an energizer bunny on the field. He's always zipping up and down. He's got ridiculous pace. I just hope Bielsa's able to develop his. I don't want to say he's got poor end product, because he popped up when he first joined United. I think he ended up scoring 4 or 5 in his first season, but he scored quite a few in the first couple of weeks, and he's always chipping in with assists and that for Wales. He's he's a key figure in our attack. But yeah, I just want to see how sort of a boss like Bielsa can develop his all-round game and sort of get him maybe working on his pressing a bit, sort of knowing where to be to sort of break up the play. With his pace as well, if you can get onto that ball early and catch a defender out, he's in behind, and so we're laughing out.
Well, Dan James, he works so hard. He always, you can never say he doesn't give anything more than 100%, Dan James, to be fair to him. His problem, like he says, maybe a little bit the end product. Some of his delivery, his set pieces aren't great, to be honest. I don't know why he's on set pieces. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes, he's brilliant if he can get the ball over the top. Excellent, because there's not many faster than him in European football, probably. But one-on-one, he's not the best, maybe. So just it's not that he's bad. It's just if he could go up another level, then we'd have a real play on our hands. And I can't think of many managers that improve plays as much as Marcelo Bielsa does. If you look at players in that Leeds squad who have been there since they were in like League One, like Liam Cooper. I mean, he's not a very good centre-back, Liam Cooper, but if you compare to, he was looking terrible in the Championship. Now he's just looking terrible in the Premier League, which is a big jump in terrible, so. But I thought the finish of Dan James was brilliant, and I hope to see more of it, because he can scuff him. and he can sky him. But that was a peach. It was really nicely placed by him. So promising signs in that sense as well.
I think it's I can't remember exactly how old he is, but he's not sort of pushing his late 20s or anything, is it? I think because he's been around the squad. Yeah, I just think he's been around the squad for a while, and I can't even think how many caps he'll have won by now. But he's when's he going to finally kick on? And I think as well, at the minute in the team, you sort of look at who the key player up top is or in attack.
He must be
that. So we're probably sort of looking at him in comparison to
he's got to be like one of our highest goal scorers in recent times. He scores because he plays, doesn't he? That's the thing. He never. I can't think of a time he's had to drop out of the squad, to be honest. And because he plays, he gets goals and stuff. So he scored against. He's the one who got the headed against the Czechs. He scored. When else did he score as well in this group? He scored again. I can't remember. But he's one of our biggest goal threats, isn't he? So yeah, I thought he had a good game. You did mention as well. There was that moment where he could have slotted in Kiefer Moore a bit faster, but Kiefer Moore didn't really need to slow down as well. He slowed down he was still like 5-6 yards onside, So it was just a big miscommunication, I think. I think it was 6 of one, half dozen of the other, really.
But you could maybe say Moore could have taken the shot because I think he took a touch and the keeper had closed the space down quite a bit by that point.
Yeah.
You'd be hoping a striker would be able to ding one of them first time, but don't be too critical because he's sort of had time in and out of the Cardiff team, and it's not like he's getting a lot of chances in front of goal either because he's not having much of a supply from the 7 defensive players on that pitch.
We'll talk about Cardiff a bit later, but some of the stuff that's gone on there I've never seen in my time. But it was a good performance all around. It's a shame not to have won it. We probably would have if it wasn't for the Danny Ward slip up. But again, it wasn't Danny Ward's fault that we conceded like immediately after having scored. That was the lads' fault for falling asleep. So it's an opportunity missed, but it's definitely one we'll learn from. I think it's a weird one how Czech Republic are a pretty decent side. They had a really good Euros and everything. We managed to find a performance like that against them, but we can't against Estonia. And it's a difficult one to explain or to understand. But I think when it comes down to it, Wales play better when we play against teams of our level or a similar level, or maybe just a little bit better than us. When it's the game is just maybe a bit more open, when there's a bit more football going on, we seem to play much better and give other teams a bit more of a run for their money, which encourages me a little bit with the Belgium game coming up in November. But yeah, I mean, moving on to the Estonia game, that was hard watching, man. That was not a good game of football.
Yeah, no, I was not enjoying sitting through that one. It's a better result than the performance in September. We actually managed to, in a very pub football Sunday league type way, we actually managed to break down the Estonia defence. But
that wall,
I think with 11 players in a low block, that's the only way you're going to score past them.
That is the ugliest goal I've ever seen in my life. It was horrific, wasn't it? Like even when Kiefer got a bit of contact on it, it still sort of just dropped off his foot. It was bizarre. But I don't know. For me, that feels like 2 goals scored. To be honest with you, whenever there's a bit of pinball in the box and that, when it actually goes in, for me, they're almost like my favorite type of goals. To be honest with you, I always prefer that than 30-yarder in top corner. I'd much prefer, because they all count the same, don't they? It's all worth 1. So it was nice and early on, which was good.
Is it because you feel like it's a type of goal you could score?
Definitely.
In a professional football match, because that's what it's like for me. I'm not going to bang one in from 25 yards, sort of outside left.
If I can say I would have done better there, then I'm happy. But it was quite early on as well. It must have been, I can't remember now, in the first 15
minutes. 10-12 minutes in.
Yeah, exactly. So that was good, but that probably also was a bit responsible for the game dying off a little bit. It wasn't a great performance. We came out strong and faded very, very quickly, pretty much after we scored the goal. It feels like a while ago since we watched it now, and it was such a bad game of football. I'm struggling to pick out moments in my head. But for me, the biggest thing about this game is the way it just turned from a game of football, a competition, to just banter. it turned into utter nonsense. Some of the stuff that was going on that pitch was ridiculous. Like the referee, words fail me. He was so bad, so bad. Like I don't know. Harry Wilson got fouled about 6 times by the same lad. The lad didn't get booked. Harry Wilson slides in, makes a proper effort, to get the ball in the opposition's box to go for the goal. Catches this same lad that's fouled him about 6 times and everything, and Harry Wilson gets a yellow card first time. It's just it beggars belief, There was another incident as well, wasn't there, where Kiefer Moore was given like you said before, he was given a bloody nose in the opposition box. The referee blows up, gives the Estonian lad a yellow card and a free kick to Estonia. How does that happen in this is a FIFA World Cup qualifier. This isn't like a friendly or anything. But Kiefer Moore, he's been given a bloody nose. The Estonian lad gets a yellow card, free kick to Estonia. How can you book someone and give them a free kick?
That was the one for me, because I was a few beers in by the point that occurred in the match, and it's that confusion where you think a decision has gone one way, but then the free kick's been taken the other way. When you're at the when you're sort of watching a match in the stadium and you've got a sort of shitty seat and not a great angle, and you don't see sort of the right angle on the tackle, so you think your team have won, and then the free kick goes the other way. What's going on?
That was banter. But, pure banter.
Do you think there's a UEFA referee conspiracy at the minute to book Kiefer Moore for whenever he jumps? Because that's how it seems. I mean, it's not. Yeah, he's sort of quite long and gangly, and he's quite a physical sort of championship striker that you're not going to see a lot of in international football nowadays. I think unfortunately the target man's a bit of a dying art, and we've got a really good one, and he scores goals for us. And I don't know, he jumps in a perfectly natural way, that probably the same way that 80% of the population jump when they're sort of trying to move laterally, not laterally, vertically, or sort of header football. And we heard, was it the Italy game, the last game of the group stage, where Rob Page was yelling at him because he was on 1 yellow card, and UEFA have got that 2 yellow card equals 1 match ban, stupid rule. He was yelling at him to try and jump with his arms down, which I don't know. I'm sure you've tried to do that before. It's nigh on impossible for me. Not great at jumping anyway, I should admit, but
you're bloody pogoing at that point, aren't you? It's literally like you're in a punk concert or something at that point, jumping around I don't know, it's ridiculous. I feel bad for him. It's going to get to the point where literally we stop picking him because it won't be our fault, it won't be his fault, but it'll get to the point where he's unusable in international matches because the referees are that biased against him and everything. If I was him, I'd stop jumping. He's tall enough. People, most of the time, you stand against an average-sized person, and they jump, they just reach his shoulder. So if I was him, I'd just start holding people off, stop jumping, and go from there. But I really do feel for them, because now we're going to miss him against Belarus, aren't we? And that was massive for us because maybe the game would have been different in Belarus. That was another banter game, wasn't it? But those. We had a nightmare. We had so many people out of the squad through injury. He was out in that one for having been in contact with, who was it that got COVID? It was one of the keepers, wasn't it? Was it? I can't remember the name though.
I can't. Sure, was it Smithies? He's still playing there. I don't know.
I don't know, but one of the it was one in the Wales squad. But Kiefer Moore had to drop out.
Oh, was it? Oh.
So I thought that maybe it wouldn't be as much of an emotional roller coaster. It'd be a bit of easier to see the game out and everything if we had Kiefer. I think maybe Kiefer would be more effective against Belarus than he would against Belgium, in fact, so maybe I'd have preferred to have lost him for the Belgium game. I don't know. But yeah, man, it's so frustrating because it's just so obviously a bias against him, It's I think we mentioned it before. It's the same as like when Peter Crouch was playing for Liverpool in the Champions League. In the Premier League, he'd be playing fine and everything. Go to Champions League, get booked every single game, no matter what he did, because they just he's all elbows or whatever. But I think you're right as well. If he's jumping without his arms, it's not safe. If someone jumps into you and you're jumping, like a bloody sausage, you're going on your face, aren't you? He's going to end up hurting himself. I mean, I remember I was at Download Festival in, I don't know what year now, 2015 maybe, and someone pushed me from behind, and I was pretty bladdered by this point. So they pushed me. I was too drunk to put my hands in front of my face. And I was smacked onto the floor, and I burst my lip up and everything like that. So it's just going to end up happening to him because I got pushed by some little lad as a joke. You know, he's going to get like some Belarusian like smacking into him, and he's jumping up like a sausage. He's going to get a face full of mud, isn't he? So I don't know. I feel for the lad, and like I said, I can see a future where he starts playing maybe 20 minutes at the end of games to see it out or to nab one, and because we can't risk him playing for 90 minutes because we'll just get booked.
Yeah, I think it's just as well, not really having that second option as a striker. Our second striker choice is changing the system, playing a false nine. So unless we're bringing someone else into the side, we are just going to either have to sort of make him tie his hands behind his back, and then maybe if he does that, it'll be off balance when he's shooting as well. So what's he going to do? Don't make pockets on these football shorts anymore, do they? I think for me, the one sort of big take home from there's a few like little nice things from a sort of not great performance and a 1-0 win. Did go with much more of an attacking lineup. I know it was sort of back three again, but then Page explicitly said in his pre-match interview or whatever they call it, is sort of playing with wing backs or like sort of wide midfielders, not sort of playing a 5 at the back, it's a 3 at the back. So saw Sorba Thomas get his first start. I know came off the bench against did come off the bench against the Czechs.
He did, yeah, and he played really well when he came off the bench. Found a lot of space up on that left side. He came on for Nico. I thought Nico had a very good game against Czech Republic, to be honest with you. So, but Sorba Thomas, a bit hype around him and everything. He came on, played well, found a lot of space. He had a couple goals on goal as well in the Czech game, I think. But yeah, him getting a start as well in the Estonia game is brilliant, no?
No, that's great news. He was, I think it was 18 months ago, he was playing for Boreham Wood in the National League.
Right.
Probably gone to the racecourse last season, and now he's coming off the bench for Wales and then starting a game. And I think it was Scotty on their Twitter put a few video clips of him sort of talking about they do the little announcement press interviews and that, talk about how excited he was to finally break into the side and sort of how far he's come in barely 2 years of his career. And it's almost like a fan. It seems like a fan, just being able to go and represent his country and sort of be with the team and get to go on the pitch. It's great news, and
very wholesome.
It's pretty much sort of thing about the Czechie. Looked like a kid on Christmas in his interview after that.
Did you see him getting his shirt signed and everything as well?
Oh yeah, that'd be really nice. That'd be a great memory for him. I'd be dead chuffed with that. I'd take one cap and a signed shirt, and I'd happily never play again. I mean, you probably wouldn't want me after probably a 4th-minute red card playing and holding midfield. So.
I think it was smart from Page as well to play him because give the people what they want. Everybody was saying he needs to be called up, he needs to be given a chance and everything. He does. He does decently and everything. People walk away happy and they can't slag Page off for it. So I think it's smart for him doing that. But I thought he was decent. I don't think he was there to make up the numbers. Clearly, I mean, if he started against Estonia, he impressed. And I thought he played very well. He was unlucky he was lucky not to have given away a penalty. I thought against Estonia in the last, 10, 15 minutes. I think he was very lucky not to give away a penalty. But who cares? He didn't. The ref didn't see it. The banter ref.
Yeah. But a little bit of banter football. Arsenal, Wales, Wrexham. I'm really obsessed with it at this point. You can tell.
That referee, I think I saw something as well that he hadn't refereed a game in a couple of years or something. So I'm not surprised.
Wow.
So there you go. But
seeing Connor Roberts get a bit of a run out as well for me. That was the other nice take. We missed massively the last couple of games. And
you go back a few months in that, and it looked, or by all means and purposes, he'd lost his place to Nico Williams and that, didn't it? But his performances in the Euros were stellar. He did extremely well. He was unlucky to get injured and that, and that you could say that maybe hindered him a little bit. But he straight back playing for Wales. He still hasn't played for Burnley yet. I don't think after moving there, is he?
I think he's. I do have a look. I don't think he's been in. I don't know if he's been in the first team squad. I think he did have minutes for the under-23s, but.
So I'm all about that. I'm all about playing for Wales, not your club. Out of choice. But no, it's great to see him back, and it is. It's great to see how sort of integral he's become for us. As Chris Gunter gets on a bit old, and and Nico Williams is still sort of, the jury's still not in for him yet. Or was it? No, the jury's not out yet.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. But we're not sure about Nico Williams yet. He attacking, brilliant, defensively, I think in everybody's mind, everybody still remembers that clearance against what do you call it? Against Denmark.
Oh, yeah.
I think
we all remember a really nice goal for your lot against Watford, though. Yeah, was it the 5th goal?
It was, yeah. It was the last goal. He gets the ball played into him, beats Danny Rose. Danny Rose, man. In that, I don't know if you saw that game, but he had his career ended, basically.
Yeah, his career ended in that Spurs documentary, mate.
Well, there you go. Yeah, for the world to see. But Nico Williams sent him for the pie and whipped it in. And who was it that got on the end of it? In the end, it was. I can't even remember now. Can't even remember. It's not important. Nico Williams is the important one.
I think I turned off when you guys were 4-0 up, so I didn't see the last bit.
Yeah. But
caught on match it there. There was a lovely ball.
He also featured last night as well for the last 5 minutes. Liverpool Atletico. So good. I feel bad for Nico as well because I don't see him, especially for Liverpool. He's not really done anything wrong, but they're still playing Milner over him as right back cover. I think if they just chucked him into it and he just got a run of games or just frequently getting the last 10, 20, 15 minutes in there, and I think it would benefit him massively. I don't see as a Liverpool fan, I'm not very fond of seeing the 36-year-old man being asked to play out of position, especially against Man City and everything. But there you go, whatever. But what about the Belarus game then, man? What about the Belarus and the Belgium game? I mean, the Belarus game we have to win, and then now if we want to finish second, I think we have to get at least a draw, out of the Belgium game.
If we can get 4 points again from this window, anywhere, right? I mean, I prefer to take a draw against Belarus, win against Belarus and a draw against Belgium. I don't know if I could withstand the pressure of the other way around. But who's got a better record against Belgium in the last 8 years or however long it is?
Well, what? The first game against Belgium, I thought we were unlucky because Harry Wilson scored that amazing team goal to open a scoring. And I can't remember but 2 of the goals came from slips from our lads, didn't they? One of them was a corner and Connor Roberts fell over, and the other one, someone fell over just in front of Kevin De Bruyne or something. So I thought we were unlucky. So maybe who knows? Cardiff City Stadium with a home crowd on our side and everything. It has happened before, so we'll see. But I think I'm right in assuming Gareth Bale won't be back for these games, aren't I?
I'm not too sure, to be honest with you. I know it was quite a bad hamstring tear he got. I think it was grade 4. They grade the tears 1 to 4, so that's the most severe. I think it could be between a 40 and 60% tear potentially. So that might take quite a while to heal. But there's a month, maybe 6 weeks ago that occurred, so he might potentially be better. He's the sort of player who would try and get back fit for his country for an international window. So.
Definitely.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him back, if at all, for the Belarus game. But I haven't really seen any updates on how he's.
I haven't heard a word about him, to be honest. So maybe that's it. Maybe he's creeping up, getting fit under the radar. I don't know. But fingers crossed. It's great to see him and Rambo play. As far as I'm aware, Rambo's still fit, which would be nice if he can play. I think we didn't have Rambo when we played against Belgium in the first game of the group and that. So he could be a big difference maker for us, especially if he's played in that 10 position where he can get where he can start the attack and get on the end of it like he did against Czech Republic. Stand a chance. I mean, we just repeating the points we made in the podcast before the Belgium game is that age in defence, get at the ball. Estonia scored 2 against them, I think. I'm pretty sure Belarus scored against them. Czech Republic scored against them. So they're leaky. It's just a matter of holding them off, which is not easy, admittedly.
One little beacon of hope to hold on to. I did see an interview Thomas Tuchel had put out for why he's thinking about dropping Lukaku because of the amount of games he's played last season for Inter and then with the Euros and everything. So. Well, I don't know if he's tiring a bit and his manager wants him to have a bit of a break mid-season.
It's a very good point as well because if they get they're qualified now, aren't they?
Yeah, they I think they're all but qualified. They just need a point
Have they still got 2 games to play? Have they? Because
I think us, them, and either Estonia or Belarus have still got.
because Czech Republic finished, aren't they? I think.
I think there's 2 teams. Hang on, shall I bring the table up? I've got it.
Go on.
Got it in front of me. Should have been a bit more forward thinking about this. There we go.
There you are. So,
no, Estonia have also got a game in hand.
So Czech Republic and Belarus have got 1 more game to play. And we've got 2, of course. So there you go. I mean, oof. Look at it.
I think it's good to have the sort of, do you call it a wild card? Do you call it a sort of ace in your back pocket with the Nations League playoff route? But I think I was listening to a bit of a BBC Radio Wales after to get a bit of post-match sort of coverage. And like you said, with maybe drawing Spain, they were rattling some of the teams we could potentially get in the playoff route. So don't know, some ones you'd want to avoid there. But I think they're rattling some nice away days off, and we would get the away leg. Is that if we finish second in the group, or?
If we finish second, we get, because we won our group in the Nations League. If we finish second, we get a home draw against a favourable home draw as well. So we go into
a higher seed.
Exactly. Yeah. So if we come second, we get that. We go into that higher seed. If we finish third, we go into a lower seed. So either way, we're guaranteed a playoff position, like you said. So we don't have to worry too much about that. However, it would be much nicer if we don't have to play against Spain, who look like they're not going to top their group. It looks like Sweden are going to top their group, and all this and that. I'm trying to find now a list of the people that we could end up playing, but I can't find it now. But yeah, basically, it's that. It's like the difference between either we have to play like Denmark or Spain again, or which I don't want to do. I don't want to play Denmark ever again in my life because I'm not ready. Or playing against I can't even remember now, easier teams. So again, the goal difference are only 2 goals behind Czech Republic as well. So if we batter Belarus, which I mean, fingers crossed, it's definitely not certain, is it? But if we batter Belarus, and that could be enough if we lose against Belgium. But who knows? I mean, Czech Republic could slip up against Belarus themselves. Against Estonia as well. You don't know.
They could, yeah. That's the thing. Everyone could still drop points, and potentially, if we bat Belgium, we could top the group. Yeah, I can't remember which pundit I heard saying it, but they did say I think 15 or maybe a 16 goal swing might just about clinch it for us on goals scored. So you've got hope for. I mean, like you said before, in front of the red wall, it'll be a packed Cardiff City Stadium. I imagine it'll be sold out. They're offering that double ticket thing, which if it wasn't Ella's birthday on the Saturday, the Belarus game, and didn't have to drive down from Chester on the Tuesday after work, would have liked to snap one of them up. So yeah, hope Bale will be fit by then, but we don't know. Kiefer Moore will be fresh for Belgium. Maybe that'll help ease the pressure a bit up top. Someone to play into, and I don't know, maybe win fouls if you start getting booked for sort of putting his hand out. Anyway, do you?
Yeah, I've got it. So, no, I haven't got it. Oh man. No, I haven't got it. Never mind. But I think it's Spain. I think Serbia will be involved. Czech Republic, of course, if they're second, they'll be involved. But they'll be in the favourable draw. I think Ukraine is one of them. So, I don't know. Either way, let's just finish second and not worry about it too much.
Definitely. Still doable. 4 points. We did 4 points last time. We can do it. We did 4 points the camp before as well. Maybe it's a nice little trend we're setting. But also, to have Wales on 11 points after 6 games in a World Cup qualification group, I didn't probably think 15 years ago I'd ever see that as a football fan.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a bit of a pain in the arse that we are where we are, really, because if we got the win against Estonia, we wouldn't have to worry about it and everything. But it's almost like a repeat of the last round of World Cup qualifiers, and we all know how that ended, didn't it? It's just, at least we're nearly there this time. If you go back, I don't know, 10 years, it would be like 3 games in and you'd already know you'd not qualified because you got battered by every team or whatever. There you go. I've got it now. So it looks like away. Well, the teams we could play: Poland, Serbia, Switzerland, Spain, Croatia, and Scotland are the ones most likely to get the home ones, right? And away: Austria, Romania, Czech Republic, Wales, as Ukraine and Norway. So, if we can replace someone in the home draw, then it could be against Austria, Romania, Ukraine, or Norway. I fancy our chances against all of them. So it is huge to try and get that. Of course, we can relax thinking, we're definitely not relax. We can be sure that we're going to get a playoff chance and everything. But I would be so much happier if we get like Ukraine or something rather than Poland. Poland's such a banana skin sort of game for us, I would imagine.
Yeah, I don't know if I prefer to be marking to have Joe Rodon marking Robert Lewandowski or Erling Haaland. Quite interesting either way, though. I think you just want to really avoid Spain. I know that'd be a nice little humble treat for you, but
Croatia as well. Croatia, although they're not the team they were a few years ago.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I don't know if they've maybe slipped a little bit, or people have stopped underestimating them a bit more. Because I think I don't know if it was Modric or Rakitic in an interview, but they said they felt one of the main reasons they got to the World Cup final. They know they're a good side and they've got good players, but a lot of teams would underestimate them because, they've only got sort of Mandzukic and a couple of others. Only Croatia will beat them. Decent, really good side, World Cup finalists.
We got a point
gave us a really tough. Yeah, exactly. They topped our group.
Yeah. We got a point off him. We got David Brooks scored, I think, to get a point off him. There you go. Right. Anyway, let's leave Wales behind for a bit and talk about some of the clubs. No.
Club football. How do you want to do it? Do you want to talk about Wrexham first, or do you want to swim over to the South Wales derby?
Very nice, very nice. Now let's go for Wrexham first. Isn't it? We're Wrexham fans. We've got to be a bit self-serving, haven't we?
So I think it was yesterday, 2-0 FA Cup replay against Marine, fourth qualifying round. So can't say we're in the hat for the first round proper because we knew we'd be playing Harrogate. I think that's going to be back at the Nantwich Stadium again, isn't it? It's a home tie.
What is that about?
They're relaying the pitch.
Is that what it is? Is it? Yeah, I thought we were told you can't play it in Wales or something because it's in England, isn't it, Nantwich?
Yeah, well, the deal with that is with it being an FA Cup game. I'm pretty sure we were drawn at home to Harrogate. I can't remember now actually. But with the Marine game, because that ideally we would have played at a ground in Wales. Plenty of grounds that are up to UEFA standard. But with FA Cup ties, I think I can't remember which podcast I heard this on, but it has to be a ground that's licensed or regulated by the English Football Association, with it being an English FA competition. So, with Wrexham playing in sort of the English tiers, the racecourse would be, and no other sides in North Wales sort of playing the English tiers. So I guess unless you want to take the game to South Wales.
I was going to say, you could have had it in Bellevue or something, couldn't you?
That would have been great. I'd have loved that.
That would have been brilliant. But the key to this sort of bit is replay against Marine, innit? Who are 3 leagues below us in the 8th division. So the first game we drew 1-1, right? So I think Marine scored in like the 70th minute and went 1 up, and we apparently dreadful. I mean, I think the players got booed at half time as they left the pitch, and we were very lucky. Jordan Davis, the Coyd father, he scored a free kick in the dying moments and everything. It sounds like we really used the get out of jail card there, to be honest. Paul Mullin was having words with some of the fans, I think, actually, because he thought he was getting booed himself. Just a shambles, really, and people really not happy. People calling for Phil Parkinson's head and everything. Paul Parkinson's head, sorry.
Phil Parkinson.
It's
first time.
Oh God. So not good, man. Not good. I mean, the league form isn't the best either. We've come, last game we had a draw against Chesterfield. Before that, the loss to Stockport. Of course, in the middle, we had the Wrexham Aldershot game that got called off at half time after the infamous Paul Mullin towel incident.
annoyingly a game we were playing quite well and winning 2-0, and things looked like they were turning around with that performance, and gets rained off in the end. Much better performance from what I heard last night, or what I read on Twitter, I should say. I wasn't following on the radio or anything. But
two Paul Mullin goals, isn't it? What worries me a bit about Wrexham now is the reliance we're having on Paul Mullin. It seems like if Paul Mullin is literally just dragging us along, you know. I mean, I'm not there. I can't go to games, but I listen on the radio as much as I can on. Well, it's changed now, isn't it? It's not Mix LR anymore, is it? It's changed. But yeah, no, it's worrying how much we suddenly seem to be dependent on Phil Mullin. I think everybody can see that there's issues in the midfield for Wrexham, where teams are playing through us and we're just having to hoof over the midfield because it's just not viable currently.
No, mate, that's the main problem for me at the minute. I mean, aside from sort of the team performances or how they've executed the system or what Parkinson's trying to get them to do or whatever, I think the midfield was looking a bit thin anyway before Luke Young got injured. Dave Jones hasn't really featured that much.
Which is
I
weird.
think he did play against Marine last night. I think he might have come off the bench. But since it was the game it wasn't. It was the Woking game that I went to that he got sent off after coming on 10, 15 minutes in. I don't think he'd actually played that much since that game. So.
He came on the Dagenham Redbridge game at the end to sort of see it out, slow the game down, didn't he? But when you bought him, when he came, I thought he was going to be a starter for us, really, to be honest with you. Well, with his pedigree and everything, having gone through, played for Man United, for Sheffield, and all this and that. So I don't know, a weird one. Phil Paxson just obviously doesn't fancy him that much, or maybe he's lost a bit of trust after having got sent off in that game, coming on as a sub. But yeah, the midfield's a problem, and they're going to have to dip into the market in January. I'd be surprised if they didn't, to be honest.
I think the main problem for me though is we've got a fair few midfielders, but they all do a similar job. Sort of the more forwards, or maybe I think a few of them like Devontae Redmond. He's been playing in the central midfield, but he's much more of a number 10. Probably. I think Dan Jarvis is a bit more of a sort of playmaker, sort of forward midfielder. We haven't really got anyone apart from Jones, and maybe if you want to push Ben Tozer forward into midfield, which I don't really know how they lined up. But from what I was getting off Twitter and that last night, it did seem like they went for 4-3-3. Sort of Tozer sitting at the base of the midfield in front of the two centre backs. So. I think that's maybe something they could work on. Sean Brisley started his first game, I think, last night. It's good to see him getting some minutes after his injury. So hopefully he could slot into Tozer's role, allow him to move forward, and then you can have sort of Young and Jones and maybe Redmond if he comes in. Jarvis looked quite good yesterday from what I heard as well. McAlinden, absolute work, or a bit of an unorthodox sort of in the way he gets forward with that, but he's lightning getting in there. He's always sliding in for tackles and that. Really sort of exciting, energetic player. So just allow that a bit more freedom and not be sort of so hesitant. And because that's the thing, I think they're so worried about shoring us up defensively and sort of having that wall that teams can't just pass through. There's no service, so Mullin's having to come really deep, and so's Hyde as well. For me, those two are the two best players this season by far. They've got 10 goals between them. But yeah, I know Hyde's had a few issues with his fitness, picked up a few knocks here and there, but I think that's one of the more important things for us this season, to be able to manage Hyde's fitness. And him and Mullin could both be on 15, 20 goals a season each by the end of the year. Like they're sort of finding each other really well, as a strike partnership should. And then they're developing quite nicely together. And probably Mullin as well is helping Hyde raise his game a bit more. And it was at Halifax we picked him up from in the summer, or is he a free agent?
Halifax or York? It was definitely a Yorkshire team, wasn't it?
But no, he's got decent scoring pedigree in the National League. People were saying he'll get you 10, 15 goals a season. We've got that back in Paul Mullin up. You've got to imagine that's a good 30 to 40 goals. I think I was looking at the scoring stats before, and I don't think any other player, aside from Mullin and Hyde, have scored more than one goal this season. So
brilliant.
Yeah, I think Davis has scored one in the FA Cup as well. So in the league,
of course, yeah, he scored.
Give the Coady assassin props where they're due.
I think the biggest criticism everyone's having of Phil Paxson at the moment and everything is the fact that he's been reluctant to change the system, and most people can see that it's starting to sort of falter. Either it's been easily worked out, or simply our midfield isn't strong enough to support having five at the back, or to warrant having five at the back, because or whatever. But if he's changed to 4-3-3 for the game the other night, well, good, right? It's nice it's what you want to see from your manager, when things aren't working, to have a plan B. And if that's our plan B, then we'll see. I mean, who have we got next in the National League? We have
it's Barnet away on Saturday.
Barnet,
the Maidenhead on Tuesday.
Barnet, who currently are sitting 17th, having played, they're on 10 points and they've played 2 more games than us. So one we want to be looking. I mean, we're currently 12th on 13 points, but 5th is on 19 points. So if we win both these games, we could go straight up to 5th. It just goes to show. The problem with the National League is it tends to happen like this, isn't it? A lot of the fixtures tend to get called off for one reason or another, or vice versa. I don't know, but sometimes the table's a bit deceiving, isn't it? And as well, I think there's a lot of panic. I think we've played against some really good teams and everything in our opening 9 games. We played, if you look at the top of the table now,
Grimsby,
who beat us,
Dagenham and Redbridge,
Chesterfield, who are 4th, Solihull, who are 8th, Notts County, who are 9th, Stockport we've played as well. So a lot of the teams we played are all in the top half of the table, and those teams in the top half of the table have played mainly teams in the lower half of the table and everything. And we've only lost against, what is it? It was Grimsby and Stockport, was it? We lost to? Yeah. So listen, it's very early days. I know it doesn't feel like it because we're in like late October and everything, but it is. It's not been a normal season. We've had a game called off because it was raining at half time. We've had, there've been games called off because of COVID or been delayed because of COVID and everything. We'll see what happens in it. But people are losing their heads very, very, very early, I think.
Yeah, no, it's such a long season in the National League as well. No side's going to put a 44-game win run to you. You're not going to go undefeated all season. You're going to drop points, even the top sides. I think Torquay, last Christmas, they were sort of 11, 12 points clear, something daft like that, weren't they? They just about, they just about held on to second by the end of last season. They just scraped the bye in the playoff week. So
the thing is, we've got the basis of a good team. It's missing 2 or 3 players, isn't it? You've got Ben Tozer, who's an excellent defender and leader on the pitch. You've got Paul Mullin, he'll score 25 and more goals in the league this year. I've got no doubt. You've got what's his face? Not Dibble. I can never remember his name.
Leighton.
Leighton, thank you. We've got Leighton in goal. Who's
probably again.
Oh God! I heard he got knocked out, got clean out.
And I don't know if you watch the highlights. Actually, it's quite irritating because I think it was then number 9 that absolutely slams into him going for the ball when he shouldn't really have probably gone to play it. It was a bit late, and Leighton was clearly going to get it. To be fair to him, he's quite apologetic and tries to go and check on him and make sure he's okay. He does end up getting shoved away. But it's the little, I think it's the little ginger number 7 that starts trying to pick a fight with Ben Tozer and Aaron Hayden, who are both good 5, 6, 7 inches taller than him. It's, I imagine he was a Scouser by the way he was kicking off. So that was quite amusing. But yeah, I hope Rob Leighton, he always seems to be on the wars, poor Rob Leighton.
Yeah, man. It's the second time in 2 seasons he's been knocked unconscious, isn't it?
And at the Chesterfield game, if he hadn't saved that penalty just for half time, we would have been completely out of that game because, apart from, as I was saying to you before, it was absolutely typical. The once I take Ella to a Wrexham game, it's on a cold Tuesday night, we can't string 3 passes together, and we look good for about 4 minutes of 90 plus.
At least, Dibble, whose name I always remember, I always get Leighton and Dibble mixed up, but Dibble is not the worst backup to have in the National League either, so... Because he played in
a really good performance against Marine, apparently, in the first game as well.
So there you go. Yeah. Anyway, what about the South Wales derby then? How about this? Did you see the game?
I didn't. I've caught the highlights. So I've seen all the goals.
I watched the first half, and Jesus Christ, I mean, Cardiff are some way off it, mate. Like, I don't know what he's doing. Mick McCarthy. I genuinely don't know. I don't know if he knows what he's doing. Is he having just a senior few weeks? Like, it's bizarre. Like the lineups he's putting out, having like what four centre backs on the pitch, like, and everything. I don't know.
Crazy. I think it's 6 losses in a row in the Championship.
And they're not losing either. They're getting destroyed. They're shipping like 4 or 5 goals in several games.
In the last 3 games, they've scored 1 and shipped 12 goals. It was 5-1 against Blackburn, 4-0 against West Brom, and then 3 in the South Wales derby against Swansea.
Swansea look decent, though, to be honest with you. Look,
they do.
They definitely look more up for it.
I think it's been a problem with Cardiff City and their manager choices for a few years now. You look at some of the people they've brought in; they're not necessarily long-term solutions to the problems. They're sort of short-term, get us into the Premier League or try and keep us up or try and get that new manager bounce kind of appointments. Swansea have gone for a young manager who plays the style of football that a lot of the fans are desperate to see. You look at how well they did under Steve Cooper and, getting him in the playoffs with a sort of fairly average Championship squad with some really good players in, Ayew, Woodman. But they were all sort of begging for him to go by the end. And well, not all of them, but quite a lot of voices were sort of maybe asking for him to move on. And he ended up...
it's not Nottingham Forest who are flying, who are doing extremely well now. So it goes to show, doesn't it? Grassy and always.
I think.
Listen, they were good, man. They were good in the South Wales derby. The goal, I think it was Patterson who scored the first one from outside the box.
A lovely finish.
Brilliant goal. I haven't seen the other 2 goals, but if you told me 6-0 by the end of the second half, I would have believed you. Cardiff just miles away.
A bit of a Jamie Patterson show. He scored the first and he set the other 2 up from what I remember from seeing the highlights.
There you go.
The Hero got the second one. He looks like a smart signing as well.
Yeah, man.
7 goal. I think he's got 1 goal in the cup, but he's got 6 in the Championship so far. Played
no Piro, no party. Yeah.
Do you think a change is due at Cardiff soon though? How much longer do you think Mick McCarthy is?
I don't know how true this is and everything, but there's pictures of it anyway of the owner of Cardiff City coming on a bus of fans going to Swansea, and apparently someone said to him, "I wish we had a different manager," or "How long's the manager going to last?" And apparently he said, "I wish we had a different manager too," or something like that. So that doesn't spell good things for Cardiff, does it? Oh, sorry for Mick McCarthy. But their form is awful. I mean, I'm looking at the Championship table right now, and they've literally 5 losses in a row they've had. They are currently, I mean, they're playing right now, and I think they've just gone 1-0 down. I was about to say, they're doing 0-0 against Fulham. They're not doing bad. Fulham have literally just scored. Brilliant.
Harry Wilson, was it by any chance?
It wasn't. It was Tom Kearney. Maybe Harry Wilson set up. I don't know. But Swansea currently sat in 17th place, which is neither very impressive, and they're currently losing to West Brom as well. So I mean, both teams are not in a good place. But if Swansea, who are not in a, although they're playing nice football and the fans seem to be pretty, content with it all and everything, they're still not exactly flying, are they? And for them to do what they did to Cardiff, well, it's bad news, isn't it? It's bad news for Cardiff. And what about the swimming thing? So I didn't know what this was at all, so I had to Google it because, I don't know, because when Callum Patterson scored, he ran past the Cardiff fans, and he was giving it this, and he was giving it a swimming motion, and I was like, "What's he doing that for?" And then I saw things after the game, or even a good few of them. I think even Russell Martin was getting involved in the swimming thing, and I was like, "Well, I've got to know what this is about." And apparently, I don't know. What was it now?
I don't remember what year it was. Funnily enough, actually, I was watching a goal compilation. I think it was on Twitter of the 10 best South Wales derby goals, and judging by the sort of colour of the TV picture and the kits, I think it was maybe early to mid 2000s. A Swansea player scored. I can't remember who, but he did the swimming celebration as well. Turns out the significance I didn't know this either, so I had to check it. I heard on the news actually when they were reporting on the game on their Sunday evening. and can't remember what year it was, but there was an incident where a bunch of Swansea fans ended up chasing a bunch of Cardiff City fans into the sea. So they had to swim away, I think, in the end to get away from the mob. So I don't really know what's happened apart from that, but I don't really think it warrants an FA investigation, though.
Yeah, man, it was John Joe Shelby who got done. It was last for the swimming motion. I mean, come on, it's not like they got killed or anything, is it? You know, it's not like joking about the Munich air disaster or the Hillsborough thing or anything. It's just some lads had to swim away. It's not. I don't know. Seems like friendly banter to me.
Oh yeah, good performance from Swansea though. I think for me, looking at the trajectory Cardiff are on at the minute compared to where Swansea are going, I think the Championship is that sort of league where you just need to put sort of 10 to 12 game run together at any point in the season, and you might do quite well. You might scrape the playoffs. You might finish comfortably mid-table. If they can do that, I think the table's still semi-congested points-wise. I don't think they've got that much of a gap to make up. I'm not entirely sure how many points they're on, down in 17th, but they could, if they put a run together, the style of football they're doing, I think they could maybe sort of scrape and claw to mid-table with Cardiff. Though I don't really, Mick McCarthy, he's a solid manager, but I don't think without them making a change, they'll do much better than sort of bottom half finish. And at the minute they're in a relegation fight, aren't they? The 20th. And
yeah, well, I mean, there's no team with worse form apart from Barnsley. Well, no, Barnsley have got better form because they drew their last game, but it's not good, is it? I mean, neither teams are on fire. I mean, I think the best Swansea can hope for at this point now in the season is probably you're looking at 10th, 11th. I don't see Swansea getting into the playoffs, which is fine. You know, if it's their project and everything they want to do, absolutely fine. Fans are dead happy with the football and everything. Good for them. But Cardiff, man, the best they can do is survival at this point, I think, unless something real drastic happens. But we'll see.
I'm trying to bring up our pre-season predictions on my phone, but for some reason,
don't do it. I think I said Swansea 6th. Cardiff 6th and Swansea 7th or something like that. I said so. Egg and my face in alignment. But
I'm sure I posted this. It's irritating me that I can't find it.
It's not good reading.
Oh well, I had Cardiff making the playoffs, and I had Swansea finishing mid-table, so way off.
I think I was about the same as well. So there you go.
I think I had Newport and Wrexham both winning the leagues as well, and they're both stuffing it in mid-table at the minute. So,
for God's sake.
Been watching football for long enough. I should be able to do okay in fantasy football.
This is why I don't bet
predictions and bets. Yeah, exactly. I never win.
I'll never win. I never win betting. So
last time I won betting, I bet on two fairly solid favourites in the freestyle wrestling in the Olympics from the US team to win gold, and they both did. Really? I can never get a winning bet on football. How?
I mean, I'm sure you watch more football than wrestling as well. So. All right. What about Newport then, man? New manager in after Michael Flynn leaving. How long was he there for? Was it 4 years? It was
4 years. He was there, yeah.
So he was one of the longest-standing managers in the EFL, wasn't he? So everybody's quite upset to see him go. I imagine. I mean, quality manager. He's done brilliant for them. He's been very unlucky not to have gone up to League One twice, both times through sort of contentious refereeing decisions. So. It's a shame because I think, that would have been, a nice sort of finishing point for him to have got promotion and everything. But I think he stayed on because he didn't get it. I think if he did, maybe he would have moved on. But there you go. But James Robury is coming, who is Cardiff first team coach. And it's his first managing job. So I don't really know anything about the guy, man. Do you?
No, I don't know that much about him. I did hear a Cardiff fan talking about, I think it might have been the Alternative Wales podcast. I heard him talking about him, supposedly very highly touted Cardiff City. I think he was one of the favourites to take over from Neil Harris, actually, or to take the job after Neil Harris, I should say, when he ended up moving on last season. So, if you're linking him with the Cardiff job, you'd like to think he'd be able to job for Newport. I think he might actually be from Newport itself too.
I think he is a Newport lad, isn't he? Yeah.
So they had a lot of good luck with the hometown boy, Michael Flynn. hopefully he can repeat similar feats, or maybe even take him up to League One. But I think potentially it could be another sort of season or two project type deal, like with Swansea and Russell Martin. You know, a manager who's going to come in. You know, I know Russell Martin did MK Dons for a year or two before that. I don't know how much experience he had outside of that, but he's fairly new to the role. James Roby will be taking over his first job in Newport. I don't know how their form's been since Michael Flynn's left, actually. I think they drew last night, didn't they?
So, yeah, three draws in the last 3 games, which isn't ideal, is it? But I think last night they played against Carlisle. They had a man sent off, and they managed to claw it back to 2-2. Before that, they played Exeter 2-2 again. Bradford City 0-0. They beat Scunthorpe 3-0, but everybody's beaten Scunthorpe, which is, you know, Scunthorpe are looking like National League next year, which is a bit bizarre, really. You know, they're one of those League Two teams, Scunthorpe, aren't they? Before that, Barrow beat them. So, you know, it's not brilliant form, is it? They are currently sitting in 13th place in League One, but joint on points with Barrow in 11th. So they could climb the table if they get a nice little run of form. They could easily, you know, get into those playoff positions. But what they need now is just a bit of I don't know, that new manager excitement, that bounce that it often gives people. People are now touting Michael Flynn to take over from Mick McCarthy.
That'd be an interesting sort of passing of managers, in effect, like sort of first team coach for a manager. It'd be a nice little trade. I don't know. I might see how Parkinson does till December, January. Maybe keep Flynn on ice for the Wrexham job.
Aye. Well, Michael Flynn, I think any team who gets him at any level, they're getting someone who's going to throw their all into it, aren't they? And he's without doubt a talented man to take Newport from where they were, you know, clinging on for dear life in the Football League to nearly getting promotion several times. It's not to be sniffed at what he achieved with Newport. So if he was to go out to the Championship, it would definitely be a massive, massive challenge for him. But who's to say he couldn't do it? I mean, I wouldn't bet against him.
No, definitely not. I'm sure there'll be clubs, even maybe League One, sort of touching Championship level, looking for a manager at any point during the season. He'd be probably one of the ones I'd go after. I did check up to see if Eddie Howe's got a job yet, because I keep saying on any podcast or anything I go on when there's talk about who should you bring in as a manager, Eddie Howe still doesn't have a job.
Yeah.
You know, if Rob Page doesn't take the Wales job on permanently in the future, why don't we get Eddie Howe in?
Why not? Why not?
If we're having banter football, why not? Why not have it in the dressing room as well as with the referees? He's a good manager though, and I think you know, for a team like Cardiff, he'd probably play a much nicer brand of football. Probably get them away from that sort of rugged Cardiff are tough to beat, and they'll hit you on the counter attack and beat you 1-0. You know, I'm sure the fans aren't too happy to sort of watch that week in, week out.
Yeah,
it buys you time with the supporters as well. You know, I'm sure Russell Martin, if the results don't improve, he'll probably have another month or two's grace off the fans compared to what a Mick McCarthy type manager would.
Definitely, I agree with that. Yeah, thank God Lewis isn't here. He'd be complaining. Aye. Well, just moving away from the footy, I just wanted to mention quickly the darts. So it's been an interesting few ones for the, you know, our main 2 Welsh darts stars, Gedwin Price and Johnny Clayton. Well, they both ended up in the final of the Grand Prix together, and Johnny Clayton took the bragging rights, beating his compatriot there. Which is brilliant for Johnny Clayton. I don't know again if the Grand Prix is ranked, but it's his 3rd major title of the year, which is extremely impressive. It's great news for him and everything, you know. But I always feel bad for Johnny Clayton because every title he wins, it's never ranked, so you know he doesn't get himself up in the tables to get himself looking at the top 10 contender and everything. But great result for him. And then I can't remember the name of there's that many darts competitions. It's impossible to remember the name of them all. But Gedwin Price was knocked out in the quarterfinals against Van Gerwen in a hell of a match. It went all the way to the end. It was a best of 19, so first to 10. And Van Gerwen unfortunately for Gerwyn Price, just managing to tip him there. It was a European Championship, there you go. But again, Johnny Clayton showing that he's not one to be sniffed at, and beating Gerwyn Price is massive. I mean, Gerwyn Price is the world number one, isn't he? And Johnny Clayton often gets overlooked because of Gerwyn Price's success. But there you go.
Yeah, the type of player Gerwyn Price is to play against as well. He's not your sort of standard darts player that's quiet and sips his water and goes up to the hockey nicely. He sort of tries to intimidate you a bit and get in your face, and all the bravado and that, and the loud screams after winning a leg. But I think they're probably. I think they've done 2, maybe 3 World Cups together. I'm sure they know each other quite well, and
there'll be no hard feelings.
That might be a factor in
it. There won't be any hard feelings. I mean, I think Gerwyn Price would be just as happy for Johnny Clayton as he would have been to win himself, to be honest, because I think we all know that Johnny Clayton is a great darts player who deserves more recognition than he gets, having, like I said, won the things he's won and not really got the kudos that he should for it. But hopefully it will end soon. And he's won the Premiership, the Grand Prix twice now, I think, and he's won the World Cup of darts as well with Wales. So goes to show, hopefully when it comes around to the World Championships in December, he'll have his place and he can get right up there into the latter stages. And we'll see.
I mean, whoever thought darts would be the new national sport?
Well, take it. Good for me. I love it.
Still looking for a place for the dartboard in the new house, or when we think of getting the cover in the back garden, it might turn into an outdoor dartboard. So.
There you go.
Got a bit of spare wood, so I can build one of those. Those little boxes they have around them in the pub, and you can open it. I'll get 2 chalkboards and sort of glue them in, and then we can actually
save you.
We'll have to get better at mental arithmetic. So I can't count backwards playing darts to do the scores from 501. It's so hard.
In Spain, it's all like machines, so they're like plastic tip ones and everything, which is it feels a bit lame, but it does the maths for you. So I'm like, I'll take it.
Well, my other bid for Wales's new national sport, MMA, of course. Only just briefly bring this up at the end because I think it was looking like Mason Jones was going to be off the UFC card on Saturday. Is going to be a primetime card for us in the UK, as I mentioned at the top of the show. Be 7 o'clock start for you, I think. I think it's 6 p.m. GMT, the prelim start. He was meant to be running back his fight, the no contest from June against Alan Patrick. It was second round. It was stopped because of the eye poke. Then the nice way to put it is a veteran move, or if you want to be a bit nasty, you could say he was looking for a way out and sort of milked it a bit and got the fight called off.
Bottled it, son.
Absolutely, 100% backed out of it. He's given a way out and he took it. Can you really argue with him? We've seen other fighters do it and they've got exactly the same amount of criticism. But Mason's still looking for his first UFC win, unfortunately. Nonetheless, he was looking amazing in that Alan Patrick fight. I think he scored a knockdown, maybe 2. He was absolutely pushing the pace on him. Fought really well in his UFC debut against Mike Davis as well. He lost the unanimous decision. Comfortably won one of the rounds. Had a case to maybe have won one of the I think it was the middle round as well, but just beaten by a more experienced fighter at the end of the day. Very powerful boxer with good fundamentals. But I'm just happy to see Mason still on the card and a bit of a late replacement for him. I think it was only announced today or maybe yesterday, but he's going to be fighting the first ever Ugandan fighter to make the walk into the octagon. David Onama, who is 8-0 as a professional. I think apart from one of his fights ending due to the other fighter having a knee injury, I think all of his wins have been by stoppage, so 100% finish rate as a professional. I have don't know much about him, never heard of him until it was announced on this card. He does train with a guy called James Krause, who is a former UFC fighter and doing quite well as a coach recently with some of his fighters out of Glory MMA. But yeah, I just don't really know what's going to happen in this fight because from the little, I watched 2 of his fights, 1 amateur and then like his 3rd or 4th professional one before we started recording. Looks like a sort of decent striker. He's quite tall for lightweight. I think he's about 5'11", maybe 6 foot. Mason's quite tall for a lightweight as well, about 5'10". But he looks like he's got quite good sort of distance and range management. Looks a fairly powerful striker for 155 as well. So yeah, I'm not really sure how his striking will match up with Mason's, but I think Mason's a much more well-rounded fighter. In terms of his striking compared to what I've seen from Onama. Looks very much more like he fights on the front foot and he gets in your face and looks to use strikes to set up his clinch engagements and his takedowns. So I do think with Onama not having many fights go the distance, Mason might be able to push a bit of a pace on him, sort of wear him out like how he did against Alan Patrick, and maybe sort of catch him sort of moving back with his pressure, so catch him with a knockdown or maybe a takedown and get finished with ground and pound. So if I was going to lay a prediction on the line, I don't think I will because I don't like jinxing Welsh fighters and betting on them. I'd go for Mason with ground and pound stoppage in the second round, so a TKO. But yeah, I think he's quite early on the card. So if you want to catch him, you have to tune in first thing. So
I'll definitely be watching that because I really felt for him after the stoppage in his last fight and everything, because it was obviously, it was overplayed, but the lad bottled it, didn't he? And I feel, now with him dropping out again through injury and everything, there's two possibilities here, isn't it? Mason Jones is the most unlucky lad in the AFC at the moment, or that this lad, the other lad knows that he's got his number, doesn't he? So I don't know. Either way, it'll be interesting to see because all I've seen of Mason Jones, I think I saw, I can't remember, but I saw that fight, which was against a Brazilian guy who's weirdly called Patrick. And he looked on top. He was definitely going to go for the win and everything. So he looks like an exciting prospect. So it's definitely, for someone who wants, the fact it's on at British time as well, there's no excuses, no? But if somebody wants a Welsh lad to get behind in the UFC, I'd definitely say he's a good bet. It's Mason Jones. He looks a promising guy.
Definitely. We've got some fantastic prospects coming out of Wales at the minute. We always talk about Jack Shaw, who's another one, Corey McKenna too in the female divisions. But, Mason Jones is a former double champion in Cage Warriors, 155 belt, and then he sort of went up to welterweight, absolutely smashed Adam Proctor to take 2 straps. He's had a bit of a tough time in the UFC so far, but it's not like he's looked really bad or anything. As I said, he looked really good against Mike Davis, just got outworked a bit or sort of got outfoxed a bit by a more experienced fighter, but definitely had his moments. Should have had another finish on his record. He should really be 11-1 after the Patrick fight, but what happened. Like you said, he's just a really exciting fighter to get behind. He's doesn't do any of the trash talking and that really too in depth. He's a fighter's fighter. He doesn't touch gloves with you before how between rounds fighters always like to sort of do that. He doesn't do it. He just said, no, here to fight. You can't really say more than that. He's absolute consummate professional. Really exciting guy to get behind in a very competitive division in the UFC. And to have such a well-rounded fighter sort of coming over from Europe to take on the Americans, it's always good to see because always been nagged on for wrestling and jiu-jitsu. And, he's got submission wins. He's got really good takedown defense. I'm not entirely sure how his how his offensive wrestling is overall, but he looks quite good at sort of getting to the back and sort of using the clinch and the cage to score his takedown. So quite impressed to see how quite intrigued, I should say, to see how he gets on Saturday. It's quite a good card as well. You've got Marvin Vettori and Paulo Costa headline in it, 2 of the top middleweights in the world. So,
all right, well, it'll definitely be worth watching.
Quite a good one. What am I doing on Saturday? I can't remember. I'll definitely be tuning in though. It's just nice not to have to stay up to 4 or 5 in the morning to watch a card that's petered off by about 2 and you staving off falling asleep for a good few hours. Enough coffee and Red Bull to keep an army alive.
Right then, well, brilliant. Well, the return of play for the Dragon a little bit in that sense, I don't know. So, thank you very much, Martin, mate. I enjoyed that.
Me too, mate. Thank you very much for having a little chinwag. Done a nice big episode today to make up for the 2 and a bit weeks off. Hopefully we'll get Lewis back soon as well. I know he's having a couple of job interviews and that, and we've.
It's that time of year, man. It's a busy time of year, isn't it? So, fingers crossed. we'll get him back soon and everything, but I'm sure we'll be back next week and doing what we do best and making terrible jokes about Welsh things. Nice one.
Lovely. Play for the Dragon 17, Diolch, and see you in a week, hopefully. So.
See you next time.